If you turn in your books to chapter 5 on sniffers, there's some really close relatives of sniffers. Snort, by the way, is an IDS, an intrusion detection system, but it's actually built and based on a sniffer. What sniffer is that? Because the author of Snort, anybody know who wrote Snort? Marty Roche. He now has a company where they professionally sell Snort, right? I'm trying to bring up this chapter here. So how does a packet sniffer work? It puts the Ethernet or the Wi-Fi network interface adapter in what mode? This is something that will often show up on an exam. Promiscuous mode, right? Promiscuous mode means that the network adapter is now bringing in what network packets? All packets. In promiscuous mode, you say, I want to see everybody's traffic. I don't want to just see my traffic, right? So now all of a sudden you get to look at everybody's traffic. Now, if you're on a switched port, you don't necessarily get to see everybody's traffic. You get to see the traffic that the switch decides to send to you. On a wireless network, if you're on an open wireless network, you do once again get to see everybody's traffic, as long as you're within reasonable range of the access point. The best thing is to get as close as possible to the access point, right? Because most people are not doing ad hoc Wi-Fi. They're doing Wi-Fi directly with the access point. Everybody's talking the access point, but they're not talking directly to each other. So if you're both on Wi-Fi, like everybody in this room is, if I want to ping your PC, where do my wireless packets go first? They go to the access point, then they come out of the access point, and they go to your PC, right? So they actually have to make this round trip to the access point. So if I want to see everybody's traffic, where should I locate my sniffer? Laptop? Right at the access point, right? So I can see everybody's traffic going in and out. Now, if I want to look at everything going in and out of a host, and we're both using wired Ethernet, 10 base T, 100 base T, 1000 base T, etc. And I'm doing this because I'm doing network debugging, and I want to see why a protocol is not working or my software program's not working over the network, etc. I've got both laptops, right? And I've got a server somewhere. What's the best thing so that I can insert a sniffer and watch everything that that other machine is doing? Set up a shared hub. You can still buy shared hubs, right? Don't use a switch, because the switch is going to only show me the traffic that's destined for my MAC address. And it's going to isolate the other machine's traffic to its port, right? So it'll only see what it's supposed to see. But if I want both of us to be able to see either's traffic, I should set up a shared hub, and then I'll see everything that that other machine, which is sharing that shared hub, sees. Okay? So they operate differently on switched and shared Ethernet. You can sniff on other types of networks. Wi-Fi is one of the most common as well, right? We've talked about address resolution protocol. We've talked about MAC flooding. This is one way to try to defeat the isolation that switches provide, right? We generate lots and lots of packets with different MAC addresses. We do this in dsniff. There's also a program called EtterCap. Anybody ever run EtterCap? That's also used to flood the MAC table. You can also poison people's ARP caches. So to prevent sniffing, what can you do? You can use static ARP caches. And here's how you go into your ARP cache and you statically create a mapping between an IP address and a MAC address. From then on, if you've got this in your ARP cache, your machine is not going to go out and ARP for that IP address. It's going to use the permanent ARP entry in your cache, right? You can also prevent people from sniffing your traffic by using HTTPS instead of HTTP. And you can use Trillium. Trillium is actually a multi-protocol instant messaging program. It can talk to AOL, it can talk to MSN, it can talk to Jabber. Jabber is another IM mechanism out there, right? I think it can even do ICQ and some of the others as well. These are some of the sniffers, right? Wireshark, #1, used to be Ethereal. Kismet is a wireless sniffer. TCP dump, classic command line mode, right? Non-graphical sniffer. Snort is based on TCP dump. There's a Windows version called WinDump. It does the same thing. Kane enables really a password recovery tool, right? But it can sniff the network and pull passwords and landman and NT hashes off it. EtherCap checks whether or not you're on a switched LAN. If you're on a switched LAN, it tries to defeat the switch, by basically jamming it with lots and lots of MAC address poisoning. DSniff, another one. This is by Doug Song. DSniff also tries to do that by flooding the MAC tables and taking over the switch, basically putting it into broadcast mode. ngrep is, everybody familiar with grep on Unix? It's like the find command on DOS and Windows, right? You can search for a string in a file, or you can pipe data to it, and you can have it search through the data that's piped out. Well, ngrep does the same thing, but over the network. So it opens up the network port in promiscuous mode, and then it just searches for certain wings or strings. The nicest thing to search for with ngrep is search for password, or search for username or login, etc. You can even use this with patterns to try to search for social security numbers, credit card numbers, bank account numbers, etc. And EtherApe is a graphical program runs on Unix which tries to monitor network activity, right?